honestly, I'm like the nicest guest. I'd never complained. We deal with shit. Like even most recently when we stayed at Airbnb, there's like a couple of things wrong, but then I just like, hey, it was in Nashville, and I'm just like, being a host especially, and I want to be that person to be like, look, man, there's like this and wrong. I don't care. I'm a host myself. I'm not trying to get money back, but fix this. Trust me, people are gonna talk shit about this. So.
Yeah, I do get that sometimes where they're like, and part of me, as much as like I've said it too, kind of pisses me off. Like, who the f- do you think you are?
That too.
Exactly.
That too.
Hey, by the way, as a host who does it better than you because I don't have these issues, you know, like, that's kind of the vibe.
As a real host.
Yeah. As a super host.
Send him a screenshot of my profile.
Right.
I just want to let you know, motherfucker.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Once Upon a Bnb. This is Maha.
This is Ian.
My name is Shamshir.
We have our guest Shamshir here. Also, I guess that makes you a cousin-in-law?
Yes, I am.
Cousin-in-law.
Okay.
I tell everybody your brother Ian.
Yeah. And then
Brother Ian.
when we got married, well, part two, Maha was the officiant. So you were there for that.
I was.
Our becoming a
Amazing.
family.
It was amazing, actually.
Yeah, best wedding ever.
It honestly was. I still can't believe I danced in the middle of Midtown Atlanta. Closed off that
Right.
street.
Ian rode a horse down Peachtree. That was wild.
That was wild. Yeah,
The dance was so funny though, the like boys dance. Oh my God. Sometimes I watch that video when I'm bored. It's hilarious.
You mean like their dances?
Yes. Oh my God.
I'm
we
not going to
actually
lie.
rewatched
Dude,
the
Julian
videos.
was the best. So he's the only one that
I've
had some
s-
rhythm. The rest of y'all, I
I've
don't know
seen
what
a
you're
lot
doing.
worse, but Julian absolutely killed it.
And carried it.
Yeah,
carried
he
it.
really did.
It's really funny because like we had some cousins, like all right, cousin on my mom's side, cousin on my dad's side, Richard and Bill. Richard like freaked out. He did not want to dance. He was so nervous about dancing, and like also didn't want to offend me. But I was like, it's fine. And then we got a couple cocktails in, and he was dancing up a storm.
Not well, but
Once they got
he was
loose, they
confident.
got
Right.
going.
Well, I guess they were stalling, so they like had this like awkward dance off at the end, and by then the cocktails were flowing. So the guys who didn't join on the choreographed dance, they were in on the dance off. That was wild.
I actually really like how you set that up because like the bar was on the other side and the stage was here. It's like people want to take pictures and be boring, go do that, and then everybody who just wants to have fun and chill.
yeah.
I love that layout. It was amazing.
A lot of thought went into that layout. So yeah, I'm glad it worked out. Yeah, that was the wedding planner and lots of painstaking planning.
Oh,
but yeah,
the wedding
good
planner. Let's not go
time.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
you know, we also saw
anyways-
each other yesterday, helping out
We
on a
did.
legal matter, and then got to talking. And I guess I knew, like, we're going to talk about it on camera, but I knew you were doing Airbnbs. But based on the, you know, you and Trey, our producer, going back and forth about all the intricacies of it, you've been, you know, real serious about
time
it.
Airbnb
I've been
guy.
doing it for a while, and you know, just last year I decided to go full time. I started essentially on the middle of 2023.
Was this right when y'all were moving from Canada?
Yeah, so right before I made the decision to move from Canada, I got serious about it. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what am I going to do? Am I essentially going to transfer my business over from Canada to here or just go full-time in B&Bs? And I essentially decided to go full-time in B&Bs, and, you know, it just kind of went, I want to say balls deep. Am I allowed to swear on here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
You
cool.
say it all.
I got to be very cognizant of what I say otherwise, but
So you have 14 properties?
I do.
That's awesome.
I do.
How are they, like, do you own them? Is it rental arbitrage?
So I do all of them as arbitrage.
Okay.
And for me, it's like, it just made more sense for me. You know, to give you guys a little bit more context, for me as a Muslim, I'm not really too keen on getting mortgages. So
Mhm.
for me, the easiest way was arbitrage. It just made more sense to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously that your barrier of entry is a lot lower.
Mm-hmm.
And I just furnish and kind of run them.
That's
And
awesome.
been in sales for about 15 years of my life. So selling the properties on it and like different units, different property managers has been pretty good. That was essentially like the hardest part for most people. And
Convincing the property managers? What's the secret sauce to convince them? Do you have to cut them in on the profits, or like what happens?
well, it's more so you kind of gear yourself as somebody who's strictly operating for traveling nurses.
Yeah.
And
That's what I've heard. You got to say it's like, oh no, it's just for executives, executive
Yeah,
suites
that's
only. Or
we
like,
did that
Exactly.
in college for like we were setting up hotels for like fraternity beach weekend. We were the college Republicans.
That's
Delta
hilarious.
pulls up there like, no, these fucking frat guys. But yeah, I would say that they find out by the end of the trip though that
Right.
this is bipartisan
Dude,
debauchery.
college Republicans are probably rowdy as hell too.
Yeah. I would
hell
imagine
yeah, hell yeah. But it worked out it's obviously that's how I essentially get them to kind of come over, but it kind of gave me an idea. I know I'm gearing the property managers that I'm only gearing towards traveling nurses, but why don't I actually try to look out for traveling nurses? So what I
Yeah, those
actually
are
started doing was majority of my properties are in DFW, and I started actually calling up certain nurse wards or different hospital kind of, the people who kind of take care of the housing portion for nurses,
Yeah.
and just made a lot of friends with a lot of them. And I have about 4 or 5 that I'm not necessarily contracted out to, but I'm the only person that they reach out to when they want to house any of their patients or their nurses. So I actually ended up housing a lot of traveling nurses at the end of the day, which technically I was not lying about.
nice. Yeah, and those are better because it's like
Yeah.
3 months at a time. They pay a lot of money. They're
And they're
usually
clean.
not like,
and
yeah,
they're
exactly.
clean, and they're coming to sleep
Yeah, they're
like
tired when they get
Right,
home.
they're never
four-
there.
They sleep for 4 hours, and the poor people are like working the whole time. So I'm like, this is the best people.
Yeah.
I guess so. The problem's probably, we'll get into the problem stories later, but I'm sure those aren't the traveling nurses, but the ones that you're filling in the gaps in between.
Actually, I've had a traveling nurse's horrible story as well. She brought her boyfriend with her, and ended up being unfortunate for her. Ended up being like a domestic violence situation,
Oh
and
no. How'd you
it-
find out? What happened?
I saw it in my cameras.
Oh no.
And because like my
Wow.
VA looks at my cameras in the mornings and in the afternoons, right before she kind of signs out at nighttime, and it was a situation that happened at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So she's like, when she comes in the morning, she'll go through all the reels from the night just to make sure there's no like funny stuff going on,
Mhm.
right? Because a lot of the times we've caught some parties going on because you go through the cameras and you're like, why was there movement at 5 o'clock in the morning outside
Yeah.
here, you know?
Are the
And
cameras outside or inside?
they're always outside.
Okay.
You can't be inside.
Ah,
That would be
I
kind
was
of.
just I figured.
And poor girl just like she was out there and she noticed, she's like, this girl was standing outside for an hour. So I continued watching all the reels, and eventually the guy just started chucking all of her stuff out. And
Jesus.
it more so happened that police was called, and there was a really bad situation because we kind of looked bad in front of the property manager at that point because
Mm.
they kind of trust us to vet everybody that comes through there. And over
How are
time,
you gonna vet that though? Like,
And it wasn't the
Can't-
nurse, it was the.
are you in an abusive relationship? Like, is that part of the intake? Like, what can you do?
you can't control it sometimes, right?
Right.
And I feel like a lot of the times where I've tried to do favors for people, it's kind of bit me in the ass. I had
Always.
another DV situation where I feel like I'm gonna just spill so many crazy stories, and
You
have to
start
come
getting
back
into it,
to
yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. Don't hold
um,
back.
well, my cleaning staff, I hold them very, very close because one, because the deal they give me, and also they essentially are my on-ground managers.
Right.
They
Right, with your VA being the manager, obviously. Where's your VA based out of?
Philippines, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cheap. And so my on-ground manager is my lady who manages all of my properties in DFW, and she essentially takes care of everything, right? And the way I kind of have it worked out with her, instead of negotiating the prices to where I want it, I kind of allowed her to understand, you'll get your prices, but I want you to manage everything. Like if there's like a situation, I need you to take care of it. I need you. She basically takes care of all the replenishables. Free game for you guys. Negotiate a price that where they charge you $2 or $3 every turnover, and they essentially do all the replenishing for you. And I don't have to worry about ordering toilet paper. I don't have to worry about ordering anything essentially
For $2 to
Right?
$3.
on every clean.
Yeah.
And when there's 14 of them, and on average you have about 7 turnovers in a month for each apartment, that turns out to be about $250, $300 for them,
Mhm.
right? And they have full range. You want to be as cheap as possible. I don't care what you do, as long as they're all replenished, and they're always all replenished.
So you don't have to worry about
It's
inventory.
really
right?
cheap.
Sometimes it makes up money for them, right? Because if I end up having 8 or 10 turnovers for an apartment, it's extra money in their pocket.
And they're using single ply, so they're getting
Right,
double the profit.
And she's smart too. And like I'm like, I don't care where you got to go if you want to stock it up. If
Yeah.
Costco's having a deal, you want to stock up 20 of them, sure, be my guest, right?
Mhm.
Kind of works out. And for me, even if it's at the end of the day, I end up paying her more money, is for me is like work off of my plate.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
to me, that's more valuable than $300 a month, right?
Absolutely.
We were talking
yes.
earlier before the podcast about like that guy tried to sell you like how to do a review or something like that. trying to charge $200 for just a little advice, which you're here.
What does that
spitting for
even
free.
mean? How to do a review? Like,
So
what was
no,
he
sorry,
trying to teach you?
review removal. They try to charge you because little while ago it just changed about 2 months ago where Airbnb completely went through like an overhaul. I don't know if you guys felt this, but their reviews process completely changed, and their acceptance for certain things and declining certain things on the reviews completely changed. And I really felt it because I have like 14 turnovers sometimes, and if there's like a one-off situation and poor person cleaning lady's working 4 of the units by herself and she forgets to leave a toilet paper, and some lady comes in, she's like, there's no fucking toilet paper here. I'm like, okay lady, I'll get some over to you tomorrow. Like, you want me to spend the whole day without toilet paper? No problem, I'll Walmart delivery it to you. But for that reason she wants to leave me a 3-star review. Right, back in the days I could get it removed. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I had a guy who basically removed reviews for me. And
oh shit, like the people that fix your credit.
I have the same guy too if you need a $100. And there was a guy who was trying to teach me the process of doing it myself, right? And he tried to charge me. He's like, dude, how many do you have to get off? And I'm like, I need 15 reviews gone. At that time I was trying to get Superhost and all that. And he's like, no problem, $200 a review. I was like, dude, are you
per
kidding
review?
Me? Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, how much game have I given you over time, and you want to charge me close to $3,000 to get my reviews away?
200 a head to get rid of a nasty review. That's interesting.
Like, it was crazy, and you meet interesting people, but
so he knows the like under the new system the way to get them off.
So back in the days, 2 months ago, there was a lot of people where inside working in Airbnb, people knew people, and they would essentially hide your reviews for you.
Oh wow!
And so they wouldn't at least show up on your profile, or they wouldn't affect your score.
That's really cool.
So you could,
so
stay above.
The game
4.8.
is not to like manipulate the algorithm; it's to have a mole
on the inside, right?
And Airbnb went through this like fire, and all of them got wiped out.
Just doged his ass.
Right.
Everybody just got doged, exactly.
That's
so
crazy.
after that, it was a little bit more. Now you have to be a lot more nicer to guests. And
Yeah.
So
I didn't know that was an option. This whole time I'm kissing guests' ass.
Right. Well, it wasn't an option for you. You don't have somebody on the inside, but
So the best way to do it now actually is get a VoIP, and essentially I have a list of things that you can ask them, which essentially leads them into saying, yeah, I'll remove my review if you give me money. Essentially, you want to get the guest to say that, right? And technically, that is the only way these days to get your review removed. By
I've gotten it
Airbnb
from
so
that
you have to
before.
bait them into saying they'll pay
Well,
you.
they,
And
they
then,
also they often hint that they're like, hey,
Yeah.
like I'm pissed about this. I could use a refund. Like they are kind of saying that. So just like making them say that shit
Exactly.
explicitly.
And then after they already have hinted something like that, you want to almost be like, so are you saying if I give you a refund, you will take your review off?
Yeah.
And you have to basically make them say yes to that.
Aha, gotcha, bitch. That's
You
awesome.
dumb motherfucker, you're getting nothing.
Speaking of that, which is the story I was telling you about yesterday, which this is by far the worst I've had. I've
so
had some
catch
crazy
us up
stories.
for people who weren't in court with us yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
In
And thank you very
court?
much for that. Well,
a
I got a
speeding
speeding ticket.
Oh.
My first
Not
speeding
Airbnb
ticket
related.
in the U.S. and my brother here actually hooked me up and
Nice.
kind of.
Did you get out of it or?
Yeah.
Come on, I had Ian Grady
course.
there.
Right.
Ian Grady in his suit up in front.
Pain, pain, pros.
But yeah, so this lady, she came in and part of the conversation I was having with you, a lot of the times communication becomes an issue for VAs from the Philippines, and they kind of misunderstand some information when a guest asking it, and they kind of just say yes. Before this lady checked in, she said, we're coming in for a cheer squad, or her daughter was in a contest for cheering, right? And she's like, I want to bake a cake for her. Is there cake pans? And my VA told her yes. So she assumed like you can just make a cake in a pan. We have pans there. We have different pots there and
They
all
don't make
that.
cakes in the Philippines? What the hell?
Out of like
And-
coconuts and stuff.
I guess she was looking for an actual cake pan. And
I was assured there would be cake pans. I
and
specifically.
Right.
That's what she needed. She wanted.
she did ask specifically.
She
so.
wanted a cake pan which you unlatch after the cake is made, so I can actually present the tray at the bottom. Like that's what she wanted.
That's very specific, but she did ask, and y'all said yes.
My point, right? And it was unfortunate because we said yes to her. She arrives on site. She's like,
She was ready to make the
There's
cake
no-
immediately.
Right.
So my check-in time is 4:00. 4:45, she messages us saying that. I'm like, dude, this lady
She doesn't
just
cheer
wa-
without cake.
Right.
She-
freaking came in and immediately was like, where the fuck is my cake pan? I demand a cake pan. I was like, okay, true. I understand, she had her own wishes that she assumed that was going to be there and she wanted to make her daughter a cake. I understand that. But you can't use that as a premise to kind of become what she became, which I'm going to get into. And then she goes, there's no sofa bed here. And I'm like, ma'am, there's like nowhere in my listing does it say there's a sofa bed. She's like, well, you state there's 3 beds. I assume there was a sofa bed. I'm like, no, there's 2 air mattresses and a bed. She's like, oh, so you want us to remove everything from the living room? And like, when a guest is already talking like this, I already know they're going to be a pain in the ass, right? So she's like, so you want us to remove everything from the living room, set up the air mattresses in the living room, and take up the entire living room to sleep? I'm like,
That's not what I said.
if you wanted to bring 4 people and sleep on 3 separate beds, I have 2 bedrooms in this place. I have 3 bedrooms in this place. Why did you not book any of these?
Yeah, why'd you choose the 1 bedroom?
And
Oh, this
she's
was cheaper.
yeah.
exactly right. I didn't want to say that to her. I'm like, you're being a cheap ass, and on your daughter's special day, you wanted to be a cheap ass.
Right. Couldn't even
And-
buy a cake pan.
Yeah, couldn't even buy a cake. You had to go make the cake.
Right.
So she starts going crazy, and me being the person, I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry. I'll send you over. And this is when your VA starts to freak out. She's like, Sam, I don't know what to do. And she's like, relax. We'll send her something through Walmart. And it was a Sunday, so I couldn't get some over to her immediately. The earliest I could get some to her was 7:00 in the morning. 7:05, the cake pans were outside of the unit in the morning. And so I thought, like, I covered. She's got enough beds to sleep everybody. And now she got her cake pans, She's not going to be that horrible of a person. Then she goes, oh, the pool is not heated? I'm like,
Does it say it's heated?
ma'am, like, cool. Did you just randomly? She's like, I saw in the picture that it looked like it was a hot tub. I'm like, okay, did you ask me it was a
Was
hot
there
tub?
steam coming
my-
off of it in the picture?
Does my fucking listing say that there's a hot tub in here? No.
That
Then
water
she's-
looked hot.
And she's just like, obviously trying to build a case. I already know when guests have been through something like this and they try to build a case for them. And they try to send picture after picture after picture. And what they'll continue to do is like they'll send screenshots of your listing. And whenever you see something like that happen, already start baiting them. But it just so happened I had a crazy Monday morning the next day, so I couldn't like get through all of that. So she checks out. And after she checks out, she messages me at like 4:00 in the morning on a new reservation. So like she inquired about a reservation on the same unit. And she's like, hey, I really need you guys to call me back. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, what does she need? And then she also messaged on her previous reservation as well. So I was like, this is funny. So I called her and she's like, I left my lenses there. I really need them back. Right? And I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. When my cleaning team is already gone for the day, you called me, way too late. I can kind of reach out to them and ask, did they find your lenses? And everybody knows how expensive lenses are. So she's like, obviously, like really wants them back. Next morning, I come to find out that this girl, before she checked out, she saw my cleaning staff I have like lock boxes where I leave the key fobs, and she was like hella rude to them, and she threw the key at him. And I was just like, is this person really gonna be this type of an asshole? Like, I got you the cake pans the first thing next morning. You're bitching at me for beds. You had enough beds. Regardless.
Also, like being so rude on the way out, and be like, and here are the keys.
That she's like,
and then having to be like, wait a second.
Actually, I need something from you.
Have you seen my lenses?
Yeah.
Please, I can't see without them. Is that why you threw the keys at me? Did you think it was a
Right.
fucking lockbox?
So I already knew. I'm like, no problem. Like I'll speak to my staff and see if I can get you your thing.
and you find them, you're like,
She calls me every
can't find them.
half.
Oh, found them.
She calls me every half hour. Every half hour.
All
Hey,
day.
you got my lenses? You got my lenses? I'm like, ma'am, I told you I will let you know tomorrow. My
Yeah.
cleaning staff is already done for the day, and I will let you know tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. She calls me again. And the funny part is, like, I have open phone, which records all my calls and records all the messages, which is the best because they have an AI feature which kind of gives you a summary
You
of the
are
calls.
really up on this AI stuff.
It's
What is
love it.
this open phone?
Open phone is the best. If you run any business where you need to like have information of what your guests or what your clients are saying to you,
I definitely need that. Yeah.
open phone is the absolute best. And it's also a VoIP, so like I and my VA can use the same number. So whenever she gets a call that is like either from Airbnb support, I'll pick up. And so it's a very intuitive.
Oh, and it records without them knowing, so then they can.
Yeah, because the iPhone will record, but it tells them.
And that's funny because I didn't know that. And
And
so
you started
the
recording?
other day, I actually recorded this because I was worried. I was thinking about the podcast, and I'm currently dealing with my own Karen at my house that just vacated. Her name is
God.
Jama. And so they call me, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And so I go to record. Normally, I'll just use the second phone, but I didn't know where that second phone was. So I just hit record, and like I don't use the internal
This
option.
call is being recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she goes, and this is all recorded. She goes, am I being recorded? And I just said, no. And she goes, okay. And
Well,
I was
that's just the TV. Don't worry about it.
I was gonna say something like that if she asked, well, what was
That's
that? But she just said,
hilarious.
okay.
Just let it go?
And I guess kept going.
Oh man.
And I thought I was
That's
gonna need
hilarious.
evidence for how she fucked me because I
Yeah.
was certain that Airbnb was gonna side with the stupid client,
Yeah.
stupid guest again, and they sided with me. I couldn't believe it.
Never
Phenomenal.
happens.
And the sickest part is it gives you an AI summary after the call.
amazing.
And it'll tell you what like the call to actions were in the call. It'll tell you what like the generic outlook of the call was. And most of the time that's enough for Airbnb to side with me.
That's awesome.
Right? Because I'll say certain things on the phone with guests and be like, ma'am, I apologize. I'll obviously like direct them in a way where I'm being helpful. So it'll say Sam was being helpful, but this was happening. So I love that.
Ask AI.
But anyways, I knew this person was basically gonna try to. On the phone, I said to her, "I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll try to find your lenses for you, but I know, you're looking for some sort of refund for what happened to you, and like, if I return your lenses, will you not leave me a bad review, right?" And she goes like, "Yeah, no problem." So the next morning, she calls me, and she's like, "I have a girl waiting outside." And I'm like,
I didn't tell you I found him yet.
Right.
what do you mean you have a girl waiting? She's like, she's here to pick up the lenses. I'm like, okay, you might have want to tell me that. I'm like, okay, cool.
Was your
I'll
cleaning
let you.
crew even there?
At 11:45, they arrive typically, right? Or 11:45. And this lady has somebody, she sent a poor college girl. She's from Austin, okay? And she sent a girl who goes to TSU, I believe. And she sent her there at like 1 o'clock. And this poor girl standing outside. And I have one person working there that day that is taking care of 7 turnovers, right? And this lady wants me to get him to go find the lenses, give them to this girl, and on her time. So she calls me, and this was like an 8-minute conversation, and she starts crying on the phone.
The lens
She
lady?
goes like, the lady with the lenses, she
Jeez.
starts crying on the phone. She's like, there is a little girl waiting outside, and you horrible people are making her
You're the one
wait
that
for
made
it.
the little
You
girl wait
sent her.
outside.
You're the horrible person.
And she's like, an hour and a half. She's been waiting. What kind of people are you? I'm like, ma'am, listen, I don't know why you're crying. I've been very helpful to you. And it's like, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to find the lenses. I don't know where they are. Maybe they found them. They put them somewhere safe for you. And then she started screaming at me. And I'm like,
She is
I'm
all
like,
over
listen.
the place.
I'm like, listen, what you need to understand is I will not have you talk to me like that. And then I said to her on the phone, I'm like, you need to calm down. And I almost called her a Karen, but I didn't. I'm like, this is being recorded, so I didn't want it to be called. And she started going off. She's like, I'm gonna file a lawsuit on you. I'm calling
For my
Airbnb.
glasses.
And
It's
I'm
crazy.
like, you are crazy. Like you are absolutely crazy. So she called Airbnb, filed the report, filed a claim for $3,000 for the lenses, called Fort Worth police.
The
For-
police?
The detective calls me and he goes like, "Sir, what's going on here?" And I
Gee,
said to the guy,
that's so crazy. Well, first of all, I guess good for Dallas Fort Worth PD for actually like
"Dude, they
having.
called me the next day.
Like I'm shocked that amounted to
In
anything.
Atlanta, they would have laughed in her
Dude,
face.
they called me the next day. They're like, I need to know what's going on." I'm like, "Bro, this is crazy. You guys have no crime going on here? Like, what the
Right.
Guess
hell?"
not.
And he's like, "Dude, what's going on?" I'm like, I don't want to say his name. Like, detective, do you want me to send you the recording of what this lady is? He's like, yeah, I heard it on the phone when I was talking to her, how she is as well. he basically sided with me. I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna go back and forth with you. I know you've dealt with people like this. She called for staying in an Airbnb, left some stuff, and now she called a police report on this. You know what type of person she is. And I have in my listing, you leave anything in my property, say goodbye. It is out of my own goodness of my heart, I will return it to you, which I typically do. But this lady was an asshole. So I'm just waiting for her to send me a lawsuit. So I'll deal with it then.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, did we ever turn up the lenses?
Oh, I have the lenses.
Oh my God. I just wanna make sure.
I just like, I want her to call me back and be like, I'm sorry, I freaked out over 2 fucking minimal things, which was like a sofa bed and a cake pan. And you were rude to my staff, called them names. Like,
Fuck those lenses.
I'm still waiting for her apology.
Yeah,
You're never gonna get that apology.
She's never gonna get those lenses.
Right. $3,000 also? Like, come on.
kind of want to like meet up for the exchange and just like toss them on the ground
Right.
somewhere.
The way she did the
Ooh.
keys.
Ooh, I would
Oh, they're
love
hard
to
to
do that.
find?
Yeah.
Is that tough for you, fucking nearsighted bitch?
I would love to do. I actually thought about doing that, where I'm like, hey, you can come pick up your lenses, but you have to come yourself and bring your ID, and make her come there and not show up.
Ah,
But
you should do that.
I
Let's
don't have
troll
that much
this
time on my
bitch.
hand.
Man, well, that's annoying. So that's the latest issue
Over a
you're dealing
cake
with.
pan, and I can't understand it till this day. Like,
Yeah.
dude,
I wonder
insane.
how her daughter did in the cheerleading competition. maybe
Last place.
maybe it's it's misdirected hostility. And she's
Yeah,
just
that's probably
upset
what it
about
is.
what happened
About
and
the
to bring
last
it on.
place.
that's probably what it is.
Place
I've
in
had a
the-
few like DV situations, where like domestic violence situations, where people just come and they have like call hookers or whatever, and
And
turns
beat
out
up
to a
the hookers?
situation. Not beat up the hookers, but they end up not paying them. The hooker goes crazy.
Oh, that's the other
and,
way
like,
around.
All right.
Yeah, and
The
it's
hooker
just
beat
like
them up for not getting paid. Okay.
Where's my money?
the situation. But we kind of like vet them out pretty good.
Our
So,
very
wait,
first episode about Post Malone, that's what happened. Like a hooker like barricaded herself in the room or something because
Oh,
they wouldn't
shit.
pay her.
All right, so I'd like to dive into this latest not paying the hooker Airbnb story. All right, so like, did that show up on your cameras and stuff? Did that?
Yeah, tell us
Did
how you
that
found
blow
out about
the
that.
Filipinos' mind? You know what she was seeing?
She's like, Sam, this guy was tossing some girl's stuff out, and I need to know what's going on here. Like, do I report this? Do I do it? And like, very quickly after that, I got a call from the property manager as well. She's like, Sam, we have a case going on. And I'm like,
Say
oh,
the
shit.
DFW police, they'll be right on that.
Right.
Dude, DFW, like, did not have fucking crime going on there. They're like on the shit.
Only at your 14 units.
How did they know? How'd you know she was a hooker? Outfit?
the
Yeah.
hooker's uniform.
I'm gonna be cognizant because my wife's listening, but yeah, you can tell her a hooker is a hooker. Come on.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, like it's just situations. I've not had them often. I want to say this because we have a pretty good vetting system. The way I lay out my like intro message as soon as somebody books a reservation, kind of like vets out a lot of people. I have them agree to like a statement that I send to them.
I've had that
And-
happen.
and
They're
that's-
like, type I agree.
I require everybody to do that.
Yeah.
And I say like any smoke or evidence of smoke or a party, you would be automatically charged $1,000. I have like these few different sentences in there that I make them agree to, which I've had people book reservations, then immediately after reading that, cancel the reservation.
What's your cancellation policy? Do they?
So it's, well,
get their
they
money
just screwed
back
us
or no?
over. They just screwed us over. If you guys noticed the new policies for Airbnb.
No,
No,
I don't have an Airbnb anymore.
Oh, okay. So they went to this new policy where strict, if you keep your property on strict, your SEO drops a lot more, which I've heard it does. I've not faced that myself, but they want everybody to go through to a little bit more lenient policies.
Mm.
And because of that, you kind of have like 24 hours or 48 hours now instead of the only 24 hours. But I like to keep strict. I like to know
Yeah.
that my money's secure. And
I kept mine on strict, and that's like my current Karen. It was just she booked, and then she messaged me. Well, first of all, she hits me up like early January, like asking about it, and so I saved it for like a week or so
Yeah.
before she got final approval for her boss, and then she messages me, and she books it, and then she did message pretty soon after booking, like, "Hey, I don't want it anymore," but I was
Oh
like
my
strict,
God.
Yeah.
sorry, and then
Not
she
my
just tried to
problem.
manufacture reasons the whole way, like.
And then she ended up coming and staying.
She came and then she got there and like, and there was a small issue like with like there's a bunch of leaves outside in the hot tub, need to be serviced again. But I had someone there like same day, And so she spent like, and then when she gets inside, I'm like, but that inside's great, right? She's like, yeah, inside's perfect. And so thankfully I had her say that.
Say the
But
inside's
then
perfect.
like later on, some towels were dirty. I guess were stained. So
Yeah.
I immediately Amazon Prime new towels over. Like anytime she had issue, I immediately addressed it. Like immediately sent it to her. And then like internet goes out because of the storm for like she's like internet's out.
What
blah
can
blah.
you do about that?
I'm like I was about to text her. I'm calling Xfinity, and then I see the text from Xfinity. Be like
Oh,
internet's
you're
out.
an
So
outage.
I just
Oh.
sent her the screenshot. Like and she's like, is there anything you can do to I'm like. I just didn't answer. Like,
Yeah.
because then a couple hours later it goes back on. But she was like, we need the internet for work, blah, 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 blah. Like, trying to cancel it. And then I guess like 2 days later, she complains about bugs. Like, this point, you've been there for 18 fucking days.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
You are the
probably caused the bugs.
You and the way you live, you dirty lady. That's
I
Yeah.
literally had that happen. A dude stayed with me for 2 months, and about 19 days in, he messaged. He's like, "There's an ant problem in here." I'm like, "Motherfucker, the fucking picture you sent me with it is literally food all
Yeah.
over the sink,
I can see the
and there's
crumbs.
ants."
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? They're attracted to your shit, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
They finally dipped out of mine, and then that's when I had to like really like make sure I didn't get screwed over. But
You
How
know what
long
people?
had she booked for? And she left early or something?
yeah, so it was like a month, and she left 18 days. Like there was only like I don't know 10 days left. But then after Airbnb signed with me, they still were technically booked, and so I just it's been booked but vacant for
Nice.
like a week. Yeah.
Oh,
Party at
sick.
Ian's.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, I have that happen quite often where like people want to leave early, but then I just send them a reservation change request, and so I get to free up my days, but then I leave the rates the same. So essentially, I get the extra
yeah.
days and book them up, right?
We were in fisticuffs over the reservation change, so I didn't think it was a
Yeah,
possibility.
that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. No, but I would just word it to her in a way where, like, I'm gonna get you out of here, and I'm gonna try to see if I can get you some money back. Which you're not promising her any money back, but
That's usually what I'll say is like if I get it rebooked, then I'll refund you some.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Which you're not going to get it fully.
You know what people will try to do to get out of your strict policy sometimes is they'll try to stretch their reservation out. And I actually had a guy try to do that with me today. Funny enough, he messaged me like 4 days after he booked his reservation, and my VA reaches out to me. She's like, "This guy wants to cancel his reservation. He's saying his mom's sick and all this." And to me, I'm like, I'm a mama's boy. You give me like a mom excuse, I'm gonna give it to you. But I'm like, wait a second, what's going on? What did he fully say?
If I let you visit your mother, will you cancel
Right.
will you give you a 5-star review?
So he's like, I want to change my reservation out to June. I'm like,
Because
dude,
then
like,
it's so far out he can cancel
Exactly.
within your policy. I used to
Exactly.
do that with Delta until they caught on. Like there's like something where like you get your money back if it's
If it's, like, certain timing,
but I would just
yeah.
move it further out
Smart.
and then
That's an incredible one.
yeah.
That's a top tier
that's
Hack.
actually
airline
smart.
hack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Or
got
with
a
the
lot of
hotel, you
funny-
could do that sometimes. If it's like you can't cancel within 48 hours or something, you just move the reservation like a month out and then you cancel.
I
Yeah.
wish because I booked like 5 different. Usually, if I'm ahead of time, I'm planning. I'll book lots of options and I'll like
Yeah.
cancel the rest of
refundable
them.
ones. Yeah.
So I'd forgotten about Bogota leg of the trip. This is like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so I remember like 3 days before, and I go and like now it's in that time period where the free cancellation window is so I had like I don't know like 5 or 6 places, and of those I could only like within the window like free no scare cancel
Uh-huh.
like 2 of them. So I still had like 4 remaining that was outside the
Oh, shit.
cancellation.
Oh, no.
So then I just canceled all of them with like Booking.com. It lets you be like, well, you can ask if they'll let you cancel it, but it's up to them. And so I just canceled all 4, and 3 of the 4 said yes, and the 4th one said, "All right, you we're not allowing cancellation." But luckily, I only had 1 left, so
Yeah, it's good.
I just stayed there. But I wish I could have tried like shifting it around a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you use Booking.com? Like, do you put your property up on Booking.com?
I'm a very bad Airbnb host. I really only have it open for the stories
Dude.
that will accumulate for this podcast. Like I should just my time's better spent not managing this fucking thing.
Dude,
Like,
let me
Yeah,
manage
why
it for
are
you,
you
man.
managing it?
for the stories.
No. You
Let
can
me
still have
manage
the
it for you.
stories. They'll pass it down to
Yeah,
you.
you're
I'm
right.
sure.
You're right. Yeah, you probably because it's not on Booking.com. It's not on the nurse website, which I want to get the
Dude.
travel
Yeah.
nurses
You
into
know
my
what
house.
furnish-
What is the
Furnish
nurse?
Fi- it's
Yeah,
Furnish
Watch this,
Finder.
Furnish
Finder.
Furnish Finder. Yeah, I've had the idea before, but like,
Yeah.
I'm just focused on the law firm.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's so same here, right? I'm like, my morning time is so packed that I can't really focus on it. But I spend like the evenings focusing on expansion of the actual business. But in the morning time, I'm not sure, but like I work full time as well. So at the end of the day, for me, just like trying to kind of transfer my time, I
Yeah.
have to have a VA, dude.
Yeah, no, I couldn't live life without the team that we've
facts.
built around ourselves.
Yeah, all the stuff that you tell me about your work too. I don't know if you could have time to even breathe outside of that, bro.
Yeah, that's why a lot of shit slips through the cracks of my Airbnb.
Right, you need to just like relinquish that power, let somebody else.
Yeah, well, I keep trying to push that off on the different people that work for me.
I
Like,
know.
hey, do you want to also like manage my
Manage my
Airbnb side? I'll
Airbnb?
give you 10%. You know, something like a low management fee.
How's that going?
It's not. Tanisha's too busy with her other my other shit to be worried about my Airbnb.
Dude, let me manage it for you.
All right,
And I
yeah.
keep trying to do that with like my front desk. Whoever I hire at front desk, I'm like, you're also going to be my executive assistant. But
So,
they never have time to do my executive assistants.
One of
Yeah.
the houses that, my brother builds houses as well. And like 2 of those houses that he has, I'm like about a month away from running both of them on Airbnb as well. And that's going to be in Atlanta. And I've been thinking to myself, like, the way I kind of operate is I like to have multiple units in one area, because what that does for me is it allows me to negotiate the
With the
pricing
main-
for my cleaning as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Where's Ali's other?
They're in East Point.
Okay, that's not too far
Nice,
from.
by the airport.
Yeah, there's like 8 minutes.
Yeah, I
from the
knew that
airport.
actually. Well, yeah, mine's like probably like 15 minutes to the airport, 20 minutes,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it'd be
yeah.
kind of within the vicinity.
It's right there. But the only problem, so I used to run one of them on Airbnb before. The only problem I had was like trying to get somebody out there that was a reliable cleaner was a problem, was a pain in the ass all the time.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And paying $125, $150 just because you only have one house kind of eats up at a lot of your profits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I don't want to do
Leveraging
this.
the 3 could be helpful.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Add your
But
shit
you need to,
his
so what
shit.
I do is I actually operate them on all of the different platforms, and my PMS
Yeah.
manages all the platforms.
So
that
that
You
they
were
don't get
telling
double booked.
Trey about
what
that
does
earlier.
PMS stand for?
Property management system. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, not
And
the
so
PMS.
the one you use is
Yeah.
what was it? It was
It's hospitable.
hospitable.
Yeah.
And so the other one that was it
It's guesty.
Guestly. So Guestly, my understanding is that the Guestly's the premium one used to have much superior UI, and now a lot of the benefits can be had at a fraction of the cost.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Nice.
there's
Would it be worth it for Ian to use it for just one property?
yeah, hospitable is the best for that.
Okay.
Like technically it's supposed to be like the entry level PMS, but what they've become over time since I've been using them, dude, like I don't feel the need. I almost switch over to Hostaway. So there's the 3 big boys is Guesty, Hostaway, and there used to be Guesty Home, but now they're the same. And then there's Hospitable.
Okay.
And Hostaway, I hate their UI. It's like working on DOS, bro. It's ridiculous. But people love it. Supposedly they have like good. They raised $350 million, which I don't understand which fucking P firm paid $350 for that. But it's probably a data thing. But Guesty is essentially, Guesty is essentially like what I want to say, Apple of the market.
Yeah.
Because they have the best UI, they have the best service, they have the best integrations. But now Hospitable has all those integrations. Before you can get Hopper on it. So like I've used like Google Analytics and Google Vacations, Hopper, Airbnb, VRBO, and Booking.com.
Yeah.
Before Hospitable didn't have a lot of those integrations, but now they do. So I basically have my properties on all of them, and I run my properties at like almost like a 93% occupancy rate.
Wow.
Wow.
Right. So
that's awesome.
it kind of like, it took a little bit of work with obviously both sides to get there, but eventually like I got to a point where like it took away a lot of the work from my hand.
Yeah.
And especially with their new like AI integration, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, you were talking about that before the pod. So what that allows, you say that's allowing your Filipino VA to, it doesn't matter, and that doesn't speak English. It just
No, she speaks English. Don't get me wrong. She speaks English.
It
She
just
can hold
makes
the
it like grammatically
needing to.
correct and
she
like
can hold a conversation, but her vernacular is not there.
Gotcha.
Right. So like, for instance, obviously the way I look right now, I look like a regular Atlanta dude, but in the morning time, I'm talking to CEOs all day. So I have to hold a certain vernacular, and she can't do that.
Yeah.
Right. So she gets people. And like I said, sometimes I have doctors come to stay with me. I have nurses come stay with me. And then I have some hood motherfuckers come to stay with me. And like, you need to direct the conversation with them differently and provide at least a different level of service to them, or you just be formal with them. Right. And what the AI allows you to do is, if she can't like get how to say certain things to them, just type what you're thinking. And what it gives you a button, it says improve with AI.
Yeah.
And you press that button, and lo and behold, it sounds like Sam Khan replying to you. So
that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Man, AI.
What about? Let's backtrack a little bit. You said you've got some other than the most recent horror stories and the prostitute ones. What about just any other
the
less
travel
than
story.
smooth?
Oh,
yeah.
the travel
Could be
story I was
travels.
telling you.
Yeah, on the other end when you're a
Dude,
guest, either one.
is
Yeah,
so
talk
Oh,
long.
yeah, you had an Airbnb guest story, right?
Yes, it was horrible actually. This is, I don't even know how long ago this was, but it's like 15 years ago, I think, or 10 or 15 years ago, one of those. So it was a while back. It's when I still lived up in Canada. And me and the buddies decided to, this is when we're all young and wanted to be stupid all the time. And, everybody's like doing all this different substances and everybody just want to get fucked up. So we're just like, where's the best place to do that? Find a spot on an island. So we got an Airbnb that was like on top of a hill, and it's like just that spot and another Airbnb that was on that island.
And this is an island on the coast of Canada or somewhere
It's
further south?
I don't know if you know where Thousand Islands is. It's like everybody from Toronto knows where Thousand Islands is because their parents love to go out there, and it's just like you get a boat tour and all that. But
Gotcha.
it's like it's closer to Ottawa.
Okay.
Is that what
It's
the
closer
dressing
to-
is named after?
That's
Sorry?
all I was thinking about the whole time
right.
too.
Is that what the dressing is named after? Thousand Island?
Is it? Oh, I have no idea.
This
Actually,
whole
probably, I
time,
don't know.
Yeah, I would assume.
Didn't know it was
So
a real
a bunch of the
place. Yeah.
islands, a bunch of the islands are in the U.S. side, and a bunch of them are on the
that's
Canadian
cool.
side. So
Yeah.
technically, you could cross over into the U.S. if you wanted to kind of get away and
Nobody wants to
smuggle
come
some
over
shit,
here.
but nobody wants to go there anymore.
Right.
But anyways, it was on one of the islands, and this is when we were super young, so we didn't know what this guy told us. He's like, you got to turn the sump pump on, right? And we didn't turn the sump pump on, and it blew some
Sump
sort
pump? What
of
is-
sump pump. It's like
For like a septic tank or
it's
something?
like a septic. I think it is a septic tank, but I think this was to push the water up the hill to the property rather than
Oh.
pull the water down. Or I don't know what the difference between a septic tank or a sump pump is. I should know this. I'm an engineer, but fuck that. But it was essentially to get the water up to the property.
Okay.
We started throwing a fit. We're like, dude, like it's freaking 30 degrees outside, which is 90 degrees here.
I was like, it's freezing. It's actually really hot.
And we're like, dude, we need some water. Like, what the hell is going on? And the dude's like, he's like, you guys are idiots to me on the phone. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're going to talk to me like that? We don't know how to work this. And, you're young and stupid. So I started throwing a fit with him. And we didn't have water. And it was hot as hell outside. And we were there for like 2 days or something.
No
We were
water.
supposed to be
Drugs
there
that
for 2
probably
days.
make you thirsty.
Dude, and everybody's on some crazy substances. People are drinking, and we brought like 2 cases of water for like 7 of us. And
We're out of water,
15
but we
cases
got
of beer.
dude,
Two
and
all
cases
this
of water.
booze.
so no water, and we're just like, okay, like what the hell we're supposed to do? The next day we get the freaking goddamn, we start hearing noises, and I think we tried
you
to
sure it
flush
wasn't
some
the
stuff.
drugs?
We blew.
The
Definitely, most
dehydration.
definitely. That's
talk.
probably what it
Right.
was. Started hallucinating and shit. But essentially, we're just like to the guy, we can't stay here. And a couple of the guys started freaking out on whatever they were on and started breaking shit. And long story short,
Bath salts.
it was like
So, it's looking
we're
for water.
we're having to shower with water bottles, and like we're just sitting outside there's no heat because we blew the breaker. And
Oh my
like it was
God.
just a horrible story. And like
He's probably on a podcast telling the horror story of these terrible guests he
I
had.
have a Snapchat story I remember of like us going on the boat to the going to the island, and then within the 24 hours it was on the boat going back. So it was like within 24 hours we stayed there, had a shitty time, and left. It's hilarious.
Just like
Damn.
Lord of the Flies shit going on.
Yeah, exactly. Out with like
Oh, yeah.
spears trying to look for food. It was crazy. What's the worst story you've had?
Worst Airbnb experience that I've stayed in? More recently, have we had a podcast in Colombia? I don't think so.
I don't know.
So in Colombia, I've stayed at a lot of nice
Do you typically stay at
Airbnbs.
Airbnbs when you go there?
Well, so like first, like when I started the company, we turned my hotel suite into a pop-up office.
Oh, sick.
And then we outgrew that, and one of my employees had an apartment, so we were staying in there. Then we outgrew that, and we would get big Airbnbs, which would presumably have enough co-working space because of the large size of the Airbnb. And then we outgrew that, so now we get a big Airbnb, but it'll be walking distance from the co-working space that we rent out.
Okay.
So, but because of that, I've had a lot of different Airbnbs over the years, and so this time we were staying in the Relish, which is like kind of the hipper part of town.
Yeah.
But a badass Airbnb, and we get there and literally we're all like ecstatic. Like me, Julian, Amir's one of our clients who was at my bachelor party. He's been to Colombia a bunch, so like a lot of people. Megan, my cousin, she's been a couple times. So we've seen a number of what Colombia's had to offer in terms of the Airbnbs.
This is Bogota?
This is in Medellin.
Okay, Medellin. Okay.
So we get there, and this is like we've been in like the party area for the first weekend, Thursday through Sunday, and then we moved from Poblado, the party district, to Laureles on Sunday. And so everyone's kind of like hungover from like, you know, I just got off dry January, and then like Sam, he works for us. He'd been to Colombia literally just to work and never gotten to like do touristy stuff.
Yeah.
So we were just like, you know, drinking and eating and having a good time all weekend. So then we check into the Airbnb, and we're all kind of hungover. We get there like, this place is fucking awesome. It's like the coolest Airbnb I've ever been to, and like in Colombia. And we were like just raving about the place.
Yeah.
And it was like a restaurant that got turned into an Airbnb, and it was huge.
Oh, that's sick.
wow.
Yeah, it was really
That's
cool.
sick.
And like all these really cool finishings and stuff like that. I was like, I gotta put this in my house. That's badass. And then like I remember I was like upstairs, like we couldn't even. There was like who gets the master? Technically, it should be me, right? But like we're like, there's a master, you get a master. Like this room's badass too. This
That's
tub's
sick.
cool. So we're having a great. I remember Jillian like called up. He's like, I found a flaw, and he's like, this table is wobbly. I finally found a flaw in this place. So we think it's like the perfect place. And then that was Sunday. We check in Monday. It rains all day,
Oh,
and then
God.
we get back to the Airbnb, and it's just a leaky ass roof. Like it's
Oh,
leaking
no.
everywhere.
Oh, no.
And so also we couldn't find anything to put to contain the leaks other than just the ceramic bowls that you
Eat out of?
Eat out of. There was like maybe 18 of those, and all of them were being used.
Oh, it was that bad?
There was, well, like, I mean, like that wobbly kitchen table, there's also like a leak right in the middle of it. So we had like just a bowl right there. But then like there was an area over
Oh,
there that like
shit.
we had like 11 bowls next to each other trying to catch all that.
Oh,
And then
God.
like multiple walls, there's
God.
TVs on them, and there's just water running down. And so I'm trying to think what the other issue was. Oh, yeah.
Was it new?
Had it
new?
not
Like,
rained in a year?
That's
There's
my
something
point.
like, how did they not
Okay,
know this
the other thing I
issue?
forgot to tell you is before that, I guess I'm showering, and then I realized that, you know, this is kind of a common thing in Colombia. They don't fully think about the fucking drainage. Like you'll be at a badass villa, and then like you're like, well, where's the water? Where else is that fucking water gonna go? Like
turns into
you
third
need to
world
put like
real
a strip
fast.
right there for it to drain off.
Yeah.
So it was one of those at first, but I'm like, all right, I'm taking the shower, and then it's accumulating, and then it gets past like the little half glass. I'm like, why don't you put a sliding? And then it starts spilling out, and so I'm like making a mess. I get to cut my shower. I have to cut my shower prematurely,
Oh, man.
and then it turns out as I'm talking to the rest of the boys that you know. And Meg, that the drainage isn't good throughout. There's lots of drainage issues. So I've been texting the host about that. And then I'm messaging about that. And then all of a sudden I get there and I'm like, and your roof is like
There's basically
extremely,
not a roof.
It's extremely leaky. And then so like I have all kinds of footage. But I mean, like there's TVs on the wall where there's just water dripping behind it. And it's just like really, really
You're
leaky.
gonna get electrocuted.
And I look at the weather app and it says it's raining all week. And I'm like,
Oh,
bro, I don't know.
hell no.
Yeah. So I mean, we went from thinking this is the best Airbnb in Colombia
To the worst.
like, and it's got some problems. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
So like, were your rooms leaking as well?
Parts of it, yeah. Like, my bathroom is pretty hazardous because like I had a pretty cool bathroom because it was like a sky roof and stuff like that. But it was clearly just attached to the house, and they didn't do the best job attaching it. So that's
Oh,
where a lot of the
no.
water was coming in. So like, it was definitely a trip or a slipping hazard. Like, wake up in the middle of the night, try to walk to the bathroom, and then slip. So there was a lot of like areas where it was like.
Were you the first guest to stay
That's
at
what
this
I'm saying.
place?
He-
Like-
had
he
it
said
never
he's-
rained there?
I messaged him. He's like, I just had the whole roof done. Blah blah blah.
Who
And
did
I'm
your
like,
roof, bro?
There was
Sue
no one.
them.
Yeah, and so then he's also promised, and then the drainage. He's like, I was like, I'm gonna get some Drano. He's like, I'll send someone over there. And I'm like, okay, fine. And then we're gone every day from 9 to 5. So like, and the guy just like, I guess like 3 days later, he finally shows up. So there were some issues with it.
You
And
stayed
then-
there for 3 days?
Well, it actually didn't rain that much from there on. Like that was the
Yeah.
worst night. But
It
then,
didn't ruin the TVs and stuff.
not our problem.
Yeah, I mean,
Could
except
have.
for you don't have TV.
Yeah, well, I mean, I never really watch TV when I'm.
Yeah.
yeah,
but-
true. There's too many
Did
people.
you get any kind of
you're
refund,
socializing.
or-
So at the end, I got a message about the refund, and also like he's sending the guy over there, and he gets there and doesn't fucking do anything. And so like it was like I remember one of the nights like Amir is like trying to figure out like home remedies for Drano. Like
hell
we didn't have.
no.
He's like we had vinegar and salt, but we didn't have any. So then he's like, if you boil water, it'll work. So we're like boiling water,
Boiled
like
water and vinegar,
poured it in.
yeah.
So, but then finally I'm like, hey man, and he doesn't respond. And so I just hit up Airbnb and I was like, this is what happened. And then all of a sudden they messaged me and they're like, he says that it never rained. And I'm like, first
You
of all,
had videos, though,
yeah,
right?
I had videos, and this motherfucker's in Belgium. So there's that. Like, you don't know. It did rain, and I had sent him. I took a couple screenshots, but like I waited till the version where it's got thunder going down my screen,
Yeah.
like on the
Oh,
weather app.
shit.
And so that's what I got to send him. And then as soon as I hear that from Airbnb, they're like, they reached out to him, and he said directly that he wasn't, that there was no rain. I just pop into our Airbnb chat. I'm like, hey Carlos, why are you lying and saying that it didn't rain? You know? And so he doesn't respond to that. He stops responding to WhatsApp, and then they sided with me and gave me like $300 back, which I
Oh.
thought was
That's
fun.
it?
Well, it was just one night.
Whatever. I would have thrown a fit.
Oh, you only got money back for one night?
Well,
Dude, I would have.
they said, I forget how much it was. It was for like the 5 nights. I say it was like $1,200, something like that. It wasn't crazy or anything, but they gave me like $300 back. It wasn't specifically for one night. I don't think we got into the details of how many nights it rained.
Yeah.
I should have been like slide, but it
I
was
would have been
raining.
like, it ruined my things. Everything got
Yeah.
wet. I slipped and fucking hurt my back. Like,
Yeah, I held. I did. There was a time where I thought that was the best Airbnb in Colombia.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to necessarily, jump on this guy. But I thought $300 was fine. It was,
What's the
Yeah.
best Airbnb you've actually stayed at?
and,
bachelorette party?
well, see, that's a good example. of-
Actually, my sister told me that was crazy.
it was great, but
Yeah.
that's a good example of the fucking bathrooms. The drainage is not properly thought through, and like it's a very common thing.
man.
Like these little tiny little mistakes you'll see in these nice Colombian Airbnbs, where I know like when I put my
Lipstick on a pig.
yeah, there you go, or like no, I can't think of a good example. I was thinking like you look very closely and it's got some things that are fucked up, like a beautiful one with like pig feet or something.
Terrible example, but
Yeah,
anyways.
I knew it wasn't good when I was like, that's
Right.
all I
That's kind
got.
of fucked.
That doesn't work, but okay. I just meant there was like something. It only closer detail you realize there's something wrong with it. But yeah, I mean that was a recent. Those are recent ones. I'm trying to think of the best Airbnb I ever stayed at. I'm not sure.
Honestly, I'm like the nicest guest. I'd never complain. We deal with
Yeah.
shit. Like even most recently when we stayed at Airbnb, there's like a couple of things wrong, but then I just like, hey, it was in Nashville, and I'm just like, being a host especially, and I want to be that person to be like, look, man, there's like this and wrong. I don't care. I'm a host myself. I'm not trying to get money back, but fix this. Trust me, people are gonna talk shit about this. So,
Yeah, I do get that sometimes where they're like, and part of me that as much as like I've said it too, kind of pisses me off. Like,
Yeah,
who the
yeah.
fuck do you think
yeah,
you are?
that too. That
Exactly.
too. That
Like,
too.
hey, by the way, as a host who does it better than you because I don't have
Right.
these issues, like, that's kind of the vibe.
As a real host.
yeah, as a super host.
Send him a screenshot of my profile.
Right.
I just want to let you know, motherfucker.
Well, I think do we want to do the clip reviews? We have time for that?
What do you guys do clips of?
Airbnb shit. Like
Okay.
stories or wait, there's two things. One, remember we did that episode about the chick that got fucked by 100 dudes in one day
Yeah.
at the Airbnb? She's pregnant.
Oh, didn't she do
Yeah.
1,000 as well?
Yeah, I
You
think
just do like
she
3 of
also did 1,000 and now she's pregnant.
Well, for some reason it sounds
Whose
like
baby is it?
Well, it's funny because I sent that to the group and I was like, this is about to be the longest episode of Maury ever. And then Maury posted on Instagram and was like, I'm staying
I
out of
just
this
turned
one.
it on,
Dude, that shit's fucked.
All right, the roach infestation story time you've all been waiting for. I was trying to find the picture of the roach. I don't know where I put it, and the chain of emails between us on Airbnb is gone for whatever reason, so we'll just go off my memory. Okay, so this was back in November. This guest was checking in, and a few days before they were checking in, another guest had been there with a dog that destroyed the property, so I started charging refundable pet deposits, $50 a dog. Because this was implemented after these people have booked, I had to reach out to them, letting them know that I'm going to start charging them $150 now for their 3 dogs that are staying, but they can get the money back as long as they don't destroy anything. These people had assured me their huskies were going to be great, maybe leave some hair behind, so I was all on board and thought they would be too. Wrong. So I sent a money request, and instead of paying it, she got passive on me. I got a call from Airbnb saying that the guests feel like I'm scamming them because I'm charging these pet deposits. So I told Airbnb what was going on, also in shock still that they decided to just go behind my back and start talking to Airbnb about all this.
I missed all of this. Sorry.
Okay, I'll get you caught up. She had a bad experience with the dog, so she decided to implement, which I have too, except mine's $100 a pet, $50 a pet refundable security deposit. Which I think
Okay.
is important because you get screwed over. What are your thoughts on pets?
I allow pets, but I charge for pets. Like, I charge for the whole stay.
That's probably a
It's
better
not a
option.
deposit. It's
Yeah.
not a deposit.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it should be a
That's
fee.
what it usually
I
is.
have
I've
a-
never
I
had a
have a blurb.
refundable one.
I have a blurb that goes out letting them know that, hey, this is for we get a lot of people that come and stay that have allergies, and we want to ensure that we have cleaned the place properly. It's a whole bunch of blurb to it, and like, so there's certain extra steps that we take. So we charge an extra pet cleaning fee.
Yeah, I like that.
So it's like a fee. It's not a deposit.
It's like, well, this lady maybe find out the hard way, but she has a deposit she implemented. So she has a bad dog experience. She adds a deposit, and then now she's feeling the repercussions of that.
Once I explained my case to Airbnb, they were on my side and understood and said, yeah, you should definitely charge a refundable pet deposit, whatever. So again, I messaged the lady saying, okay, I guess Airbnb has talked to you also. I guess we're on the same page now. So I'm going to send the request again. Again, I send the request and she denies it and responds with more messages. Mind you, this was a couple and I was talking to the man at first and now the woman's coming in with all this. So she responds back to me like, I'm a lawyer in California.
She seems like an asshole.
Law-abiding citizens. This is unfair and we will not pay, whatever, la la la. So of course I'm like, I just see red flags all over this, but I'm just like, they're checking in like tomorrow. Let's just, whatever. So I said, okay, don't pay the $150 pet deposit, whatever. But if they destroy the place, their dogs, I'm going to come after the $150 plus security deposits and whatever else I need. She agreed. So then they check in. Things go well, it sounds like. I send my follow-up message asking, how things are going, but I don't hear back. So I'm like, they must be just enjoying the house. Wrong. Again. I woke up the next morning at 8 in the morning to a message from my Airbnb guest at 1 in the morning claiming that there's a roach infestation under my sink and that they're checking out immediately.
Oh my God.
So they're examining my house at 1 in the morning and then they take a picture under my sink and in the back corner, it looks like they drew like a dot that is a roach. That is the evidence they sent into Airbnb claiming I have a roach infestation. Without me even having a chance to respond, they got their money back, they left the place, and Airbnb immediately sided with them.
Ew.
And tried to take away my superhost status. I said, hell no, that is not the case. I will hire exterminators tomorrow. I explained to them how they messaged me early in the morning. I couldn't respond. Had an exterminator come out that day. They did everything. And at the end of it, they looked at me and said, what roaches were you talking about? There's nothing in this house except the dead rat outside.
Dude, I was in a building in Dallas. I got out of that building. That building was 105 years old. It used to be, I forgot what kind of factory it used to be, but the building was 105 years old, and it had a roach infestation. And when I say that, dude, I called an exterminator to come in, and he put like this thing that attracted them, so you could like just come into the bucket and die or
and
whatever.
it filled in like a second.
Dude, he sent me a picture, and I thought it was like, you guys watched Ripley's back in the day?
Yeah.
Not Ripley's. What Joe Rogan used to have.
Yeah.
Fear Factor.
Fear Factor.
Yes.
Dude, I was like, this is a fucking picture from Fear Factor. Like, this is crazy. And I
Lay
was
in this
like,
bed of roaches.
oh hell no.
Ooh.
Man,
It's the worst.
A real roach infestation. Whereas I've had this too, where like they send you like the smallest picture that could be a bug, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, and if there's so many bugs, how come you weren't able to get a clean shot?
Right,
of it?
exactly.
Nonsense.
It's for real.
Well, I didn't think her story was that great, but I do feel bad for her. And
I do.
Yeah.
I do, because a lot of the times that guest was very smart. They did it at 1 o'clock in the morning, so she's asleep. And it gives them a 6-hour period for Airbnb to be like, yeah, you gotta go. If you want to
Oh,
leave
because
from
they
here,
didn't
you can leave.
respond.
And then that fucks you over.
Yeah.
So she was smart. Oh, one thing I wanted to tell you guys, actually, before I was telling you about this earlier, before we started recording. One of my buddies, he had a girl come and stay with him for 31 days. And she was there for 31 days. And 31st day, cleaner goes to knock on the door. Nobody answers. She goes to unlock with the thing. She's closed the, what do you call it? The actual
The
lock.
deadbolt?
The deadbolt. She's closed the deadbolt. And she can't get in. They call her. She's like, I'm not leaving. Hangs up.
Squatter.
What happens is, after 30 days, you start getting renter's loss.
In what
Renter's
state?
rights. This is in Texas.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, I'm not leaving, and you can't kick me out. Don't send anybody in here to grab my stuff, or you'll hear from my lawyer. 15 minutes later, he gets a message from the lawyer. If you want to speak to my, client,
Your tenant.
you gotta message me, and you gotta go through the proper thing. Took him 3 months to get her out. 3 months she stayed there for
Jeez.
free, wasted 3 months of revenue during high season, And dude was just like, dude, I just lost like $12,000 because
So do
of this
people in
password.
Texas just like not rent for more than 30 days to avoid
I don't
that?
know.
Or
I
like,
actually
what
thought
do you
about
do?
that. I'm like, dude, I gotta be very careful. I haven't had that happen to me.
Especially
Thank
like
God.
with a travel nurse that's
Hell
staying 3
yeah.
months, that could easily happen.
Hell yeah. You get one bad person and it ruins your
Mhm.
whole. Especially if you're like not making much money. If it's during slow season and something like that happens, you're kind
And
of
you
screwed.
got all excited because you're like 3-month booking, let's go,
Yeah.
or 31-day
Exactly.
booking.
I don't think Georgia is a specific time period. I think it's more so like
Didn't Kemp add some like anti-squatting laws? I feel like that's the one
Maybe.
good thing he did.
Yeah,
Did he?
actually, my brother just told me about that. The anti-squatting law. You can shoot him.
what? Of course Georgia would pass that. From one extreme to the next.
Shaking her head. I'm running up in there, bro. He's the 31st day,
You
man.
can
It's
shoot
time
him.
to go.
That's hilarious.
You can squat all you want, but dance.
But, yeah.
It's good, but I'm sitting on this couch with you. How you doing?
That's
Yeah.
why that's been some videos we've seen where like it's like the person's there with the squatter and like this bitch isn't leaving, and
Yeah,
she's like,
she
nope,
lights
I'm
up
not.
a cigarette in
Yeah.
the kitchen and
What you
shit.
gonna do about it? You're like, oh
Yeah.
man.
I actually know a way to get people out, but you got to do like a whole situation. You got to call the cops, tell them there's a drug deal going on in there. Someone's growing some marijuana, and then you got to call from another phone and do it as well. So there's like 2 complaints. It turns into a criminal thing, and they go
And
in
then
there.
go
and-
plant weed in there.
Yeah, but then if they go in and there's no weed, what happens? They're like,
Then you
sorry,
gotta-
false
I don't
alarm. We
know.
apologize.
I don't know. I haven't gone to
I
that
guess
point
if you
yet.
plant the weed too, maybe. But
Got an inside guy in the police department too.
yeah.
All right, is there a video with this one? Oh no. I thought there was gonna be
No,
a footage
it's just
with
a
this.
post,
All right.
but
Well, yeah.
How is she this pregnant already? Wasn't it just like
Yeah, you don't
she
like.
might have like 5 babies in there. I don't know, because
It's not like
1,000 dudes.
Yeah.
dude? So I actually tried to run some numbers on that. She's lying about 1,000.
She has to be.
You
Because I
can't.
was like, there's not enough minutes in the day.
Yeah.
It's like
Unless
how
it's
are
like
you?
one pump per person and
no-
they're lined up behind each other,
I
maybe.
feel like you have to count like, just
6
blowjobs and
seconds.
things like that at that
I
point.
think it was
Yeah.
something like 6 seconds. I'm
Mhm.
like, how are I know some dudes that are really quick, but like, dude, like, is every single one of them that quick? Hell
Well,
no.
I don't think the men are required to finish.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
Yeah,
and just
but-
like,
It wasn't
yeah.
1,000 loads in one day.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but that's funny because I made a joke about this being the longest episode of Maury ever, and then Maury tweeted it and was like, "I'm sitting this one out."
Well, yeah, that was done in Airbnb. That's the title of this show.
All
But
the
all right, we'll
banging.
just get to our next video then if it's not about Miss 100.
I had put in the
I've had
it's not a
some
video or anything, but something to talk about. Billionaire co-founder of Airbnb has joined Elon Musk's Dodge team.
oh god. What do you guys?
That's
How do
it,
you guys
that's
feel
the
about
whole
the
story.
Doge right now? It's like-
Doge, sorry, not
They're-
Dodge.
They're just fucking shit up and,
Yeah.
picking
I mean, they're
up the
just trying to
pieces.
take everybody out of power that disagrees with them and put people in power that agree with them so that they literally control everything.
I'm so happy that you actually came to the same conclusion.
Yeah,
that I
I mean,
did.
it's pretty
And
obvious. They're
I
not
tried to
really,
have
like,
this
hiding it.
conversation with somebody. I'm like, dude, do you really think this guy's taking people out of power that are skimming shit off of the top of America?
All right.
And where's that money gonna
This
go?
is not about saving money.
Well,
Trump
they
has spent
stop
so much
this.
money playing golf just
Like,
since he's been
stop
elected.
this.
They,
And
they,
going
fa-
to
they
the
went
Super
through
Bowl?
this. It was the 16 billion. They went through it, and it's 2.6 billion. Those are not close numbers to each
Yeah.
other, And like where the real savings would be I don't know,
And
like
any
how much
savings
we're
is
paying
going to
Elon Musk to
Musk
do
in like
this.
government contracts
yeah,
times
let's say
1,000.
the government contracts. Yeah.
But
Well,
anyways,
let's get to simpler things like Airbnb video. All right, worst Airbnb experience ever.
Worst Airbnb experience. They booked 4 adults, 2 kids. The following day, oh my gosh, kawawa yung unit ko. Yung sofa ko, puro stains, hindi namin maintindihan. May mga
Oh,
blood
this is not
sa
in English.
bed. Nung tinanggal namin yung bed cover, sobrang daming stains. As in, hindi namin
Kinda follow
maintindihan anong nangyari. Most
There are
likely they
stains on the
partied.
bed.
But again, guys, if you're gonna party and it's not your own place, give respect naman, diba? So, buti na lang, Airbnb gave me a budget to shampoo, to clean, to disinfect the items, the furnitures that were damaged. Buti na lang may insurance. So, thank you, Airbnb.
That was the most. I don't know what language it is. Like
That's Filipino.
Yeah.
Filipino. Okay, that was the most like
The Tagalog.
like
Tagalog.
Filipino video ever. I thought like with like
Yeah.
the sound effects and also
It
like
was.
she also like. I don't think she got a budget. I think she got a refund, but it's so funny, like the
I
similar
just charged somebody.
close words, but not quite.
I just charged somebody like $1,500 for how they left my place.
What did they do?
they it was, I think they threw a party in there. There was 4 of them that, think somebody came in and turned the camera up at like 9 o'clock at nighttime. And they were good for the first few days that they were there, but I guess on the last night they decided to
Gotta
have
go out with a bang, man.
Yeah.
go with a bang. Exactly, that's what happened. And there was like blood on a bunch of the things, and I was like, it's like somebody lost their virginity in here. Like
Oh,
there was like
God.
blood on like so many different parts, and I was just like, somebody definitely lost the
That's like
V
someone
card
took
here.
their virginity.
Right. By force.
And they're like, they left. They broke one of my dining chairs. They like broke a bunch of the blinds and shit. Lost the key fob, and I just like, in my thing, I instantly charged them $1,000 for the party that they threw, and then lost key fob, charged them through $250. Then like replacing all of the bed sheets and like all that, $1,500 off the top. Like
Nice.
I'm playing that game.
How much did you actually spend to fix all that stuff?
It's not gonna Airbnb's not gonna see this, right?
No.
I'm joking. About like 150.
Nobody's gonna see this,
about
most
like,
likely.
About like $150.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's
So
the
funny.
best
I was looking through pictures for something and saw a picture like of our TV screen. It was like of me and Javon making the same exact face, but I realized that under the video it said 1 view. I sent him the picture. He's like, "Wow, 1 view is wild."
Now we got 2.
Right, exactly.
That's hilarious. All right, we'll do one more video. What we got? We got travel hippie. Okay.
Is that Rihanna?
So it's
What?
11 o'clock at night, and I'm stuck at the Amtrak, not knowing where to go or what to do with my life. So I hop on Airbnb, and I find, just like a shared Airbnb.
There's your first.
Never do a shared Airbnb.
Get you through the night.
Find something. It allowed me to book instantly. I'm like, okay, cool. I look at the pictures on Airbnb. Everything looks chill.
Are you at how are you at the Amtrak? You're in a house.
So I pull up to the Airbnb and knock on the door. I see that I need a code to get in, so I enter the code, open the door. And I left my phone in the, in my room. And I had left back outside to get my suitcase from the Uber. And I locked myself out. And I'm like, crap, I locked myself out. So I'm banging on the door, nobody answers. I walk around to like the side of the house. There's a girl in the bathroom. I am like, hey, can you let me in? I locked myself out. She said, okay, sure, whatever. She comes to the door and she looks like this. And I'm like, okay. Whatever, I go to my room, and I'm just kind of sitting there. And I'm like, all right, the house kind of looks outdated. And when I closed the main door, it looked like this. And I was like, what the fuck? All right, does it lock? Like,
Didn't you just lock yourself out?
Yeah, you know it locks, lady.
I'm like, all right, it's really late. I'm in Oakland.
She's a
I've
hippie,
heard
guys.
stories about Oakland. I don't know where I'm at. I'm a solo traveler. It's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot to take in. When things go wrong, even if it's not the most ideal, you kind of just have to go with the flow with it and hope for the best, because it'll be too much to try to do anything else. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, it's, I think, like almost midnight, Like, I'm like, all right, let me just thug it out. The back door. So at this point, the only 2 doors in the house are questionable if they actually lock or not. Like,
Then how'd you get locked out?
Yeah, like what are we talking about here?
Right.
Why did you bang on the what's that? Cynthia?
Dude,
Yeah,
there's
I was
so
gonna say
many
Cynthia,
things
but that was a
off
black
about her
Cynthia?
story. There's so many
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, Cynthia. What? I think I'd have at some point made a black Cynthia, but like I don't remember her.
I don't think they made a Cynthia at all. She's just in
Cynthia was a
Rugrats.
doll.
You don't? Yeah, no, I know that. I meant like I was assuming maybe they in the show they eventually showed that there's other types of Barbie.
It was the 90s.
Yeah.
They did not have diversity and inclusion
Yeah.
back then.
So that was just
Yeah.
they just changed the shade on the okay.
Oh, that's out of the window.
Well, either way, you answered. Black Cynthia answers the door, and you're
Right.
like, "Thank you for letting me in." And then
And then she's like, "Does this even lock?"
it's absurd.
Is that going to be the whole story, that she's unsure of whether the fucking doors lock?
So the girl that opens the door for me, she goes back to the bathroom. She's doing her hair, and
Frying
I'm
it like
getting
that.
stuff ready because I've been on the bus all day and I want to take a shower. So the host of the home comes out and he tells her to like,
Oh, the host lives there
let
too?
me use the bathroom for a few minutes. I go into the bathroom. It was terrifying. There's no soap. to wash your hands. It was just Dawn soap.
Picture.
Dawn.
What the heck?
Not
I
the
go
Dawn.
into the shower to take a shower. I pull back the
More
curtain.
Dawn in the shower.
Why is there a dead bug
And here's the picture.
Okay, that was kind of bad.
on the wall of the shower? Just smashed and left there, honey. I'm sitting there like,
Someone
shower.
swatted it while
Yeah.
taking a shower.
Yeah.
And didn't do the right thing and aim the shower head at it to flood it to its watery grave.
no way. This is an Airbnb. There's no way. I paid to stay here. Like, this is crazy.
First of all, you paid $15.
Exactly.
Relax.
In Oakland on a shared Airbnb with
Right.
the doors like that, there's no way.
Paid
Definitely
$24.99.
$15.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I'm like, yo, I have to take a shower though. Like, this is disgusting. I have to take a shower. Like, it's just a conundrum, honey. I'm like, what do I
How clean was that fucking bus you were on all day?
Right.
Like, what are we talking about here? This lady's got some like shifting
Right.
standards.
You lost me at Amtrak.
do? And then I pull back the curtain all the way, so I just lifted it like a corner to like step inside. And then when I look all the way back, there's two like fresh spiders just sitting in the corner.
Granddaddy long
Yeah,
legs.
daddy legs, exactly.
I've had a guest freak out about the day. Like I would go around back when I was more actively managing my Airbnb. I'd go around with my Dyson and just suck them up off the
Yeah.
ceiling. It's very satisfying. She's had an opportunity there to enjoy herself.
ASMR.
Just sitting in the corner waiting for me to pop up in that motherfucker. And if you know me, I have like almost a phobia of bugs. Like, I do not like bugs. So it's a moment. I'm having in this bathroom. Oh my gosh. Needless to say, I went into the room, I fell asleep. I did not get under that bed. I did not use them pillows. I barely slept. Like, I was exhausted the next day. I immediately got up when the sun came up. I think I left at 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I left at like 8 and went to my house sit and was good. And that was the end of the story. Thank the Lord. But it was treacherous getting here, and I was questioning my life. I was questioning if I wanted to keep doing this. I was like, let me just, I'm ready to call it quits. I'm ready to be done traveling, okay?
So I guess she's used to like house sitting where you get paid to stay at Airbnbs essentially. You know, it's like the opposite.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
I got to house sit a couple times.
Like for
growing up.
friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Not like, I didn't know there was like a platform for it or anything.
I was assuming that's her friend because who, you know.
Yeah, I guess.
But
She took the Amtrak to Oakland to house sit for somebody?
that did seem a little.
I don't understand what's going on.
Should we click on the traveling hippies stuff? All right, let's see. Solo traveler.
Dude, like I know some people that do that like in tropical countries like Bali or something, but you do that in Oakland?
In
Like, what
Oakland,
the
yeah.
fuck is going on here?
The one that stood out. I'm
yeah,
gonna
I'm
stop
just a
stalking
traveling
her.
hippie.
Glow up and get revenge on
in
your past
middle
self.
California.
Yeah, I don't
Fuck
know.
my past self. All right.
All right, the last thing we're gonna ask you is to sign our guest book. Whoops. So that's just a phrase. Anything you want to come up with. I'll give you one last video to think about your answer.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
So it could be like something we talked about earlier, an inside joke. Doesn't matter. A phrase.
Phrase that you use, a takeaway, whatever.
You got Shelby Church. You got one Shelby Church horror story.
Cool.
To think of it.
I want to share my Airbnb horror story. I'm an Airbnb host and like I love Airbnb, but I stayed in one time that was so bad. It was $5,000 for the entire month in New York City. This is it. It didn't have any natural light, but like whatever, that's like typical New York apartment. Like
Damn, there's
that
not a
is the
single
ladies'
window.
cleaning supplies. I got there at like 7 p.m. and they were still cleaning it. Kind of weird. I have one of those weird like flex wall rooms. I feel like these photos don't really do it justice. There was a rat scratching on the ceiling and like a plastic bag covering the rat. So one day I come back, because I had this for a whole month, to this letter.
Monthly rent payment for the address
Oh,
is $2,500
shit.
due. You have not rented. Well, $38,000 in arrears. Wow.
Oh, wow.
This is
So that's
The
like he's running
host
for a
owed
whole
money.
year?
No, the host hasn't paid the
No, I'm
rent.
saying he hasn't paid for a whole year.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
yeah,
25.
looks
I
like-
guess,
It's really hard to evict people in New York.
and like that's got to be more than a year because
It's
that's
actually worse in Toronto.
Really?
18 months.
Oh, wow.
18 months.
The Clinton Housing Development Community remains committed, blah, blah, blah. All right. So she's staying at a place that's not paid for. That's fine. It'll take a while to evict you.
Right.
You're only there for a month.
Basically saying that the girl who rented it hadn't paid her $2,500 rent for the last 2, maybe more years. So I contacted Airbnb and their response was so absurd. I'll make a part 2 because it's cutting me off.
Fine,
we have
Shelby.
to find the part 2.
Well, luckily nowadays it
It does the
didn't.
Doesn't it show
Watch.
just watched?
I mean,
thought
maybe
it
it's
did,
just
but
further
no.
down.
Now I gotta scroll through all her shit. Oh wait, you just saw it? Oh, okay, cool. Part 2. Good eye.
Part 2 of my nightmare Airbnb story. Go watch the first part, but long story short, this Airbnb was illegal, really gross. And I came back one day to a letter saying that the host hadn't been paying her rent and she owed $38,000 to the landlord. So obviously I contacted Airbnb. I was like, yes, I'm getting out of this place. And Airbnb tried to tell me that you should just stay. You don't technically have to leave. And I was like, I don't feel safe here because I really didn't. So then Airbnb said they were going to call me back, the Airbnb
They
representative.
call it 2 a.m.
But when I got the call back, it was just the host confronting me, but it was from the Airbnb phone number. So they pretty much talked to the host and then kind of just made us talk to each other rather than just dealing it. They should have just given me a refund, I think. So here I am talking to the host, trying to negotiate with them. Is where there was the rat scratching. They just put a plastic bag to cover it.
Wait, so she really held back on the receipts. She's got a whole YouTube video.
I know, and she's just
Where she,
telling the
talk-
story.
She has a freaking rat trying to get into the plastic bag.
Oh God.
Yeah, and I was just seeing if there's anything right nearby on her
That's
TikTok,
crazy.
but I'm not seeing it. Well, I mean, if there truly is a rat scratching around, that's obviously disgusting. But why didn't she jump on that as the reason rather than because really, I kind of agree with Airbnb in terms of if you're just talking about her owing rent,
Right, they're not gonna get
as
evicted
long,
in that
as long as
month.
you don't
That's
get
true.
evicted. Now that lady's
That's
she's
true.
charging $5,000 a month,
Yeah.
and not paying
But
any of it.
I don't know. I guess the landlord could come banging on the
She's a
door and being
genius
like,
for
"Where's
that.
my money?" or something. But that didn't happen.
I know
Yeah.
she's hella genius for that.
Yeah.
Paid 38,000.
And she's making bank. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this chick paid
In New York.
$5,000 for the month, and her rent's only $25,000.
Yeah, so she's what's that 120,000 or something like that,
Yeah.
And she's running it for a year.
or
Right?
2 years. I thought she's done it
2
for 2
years?
years. Well,
Well,
she's
she hasn't paid
25
it for 2 years. We don't know
2,500,
what was
yeah.
That's
happening.
125 grand.
Maybe this is how she's trying to make the money back to
Yeah.
pay it.
120 grand.
listen, I got you. I'm just gotta
Right,
give you
just
some
let
more
me
time.
do a few months on Airbnb.
I got the rats contained. I just,
Right. I got the rats contained.
Man. All right. Well, that
That's
was a decent story, Shelby. Thank you for that. You had some good ones too. You got anything to sign us off with? Want
I
to sign
do.
our guest book?
I do. I would love to sign your guest book.
Oh, please.
All right.
Is it a physical guest book?
It's
No, it's all
hypothetical.
virtual.
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
You say it, it'll sign digitally, supposedly.
On the screen.
so what you're saying to me is if I give you a refund, you will not leave me a bad review. Got
Good
it.
one.
Love it. Love it. Well, hey, thanks for
Cool.
coming on. This has been a lot of
Thank you for having
fun.
me, man. It
Yeah.
was amazing. This is cool.
Do you have any social media stuff like that you want to tag for the business?
I have
Mike,
no,
the mic. Yeah.
I have no social media, man.
Okay. That's amazing.
Good.
Jealous. All right. Well, this has
Cool.
been another episode
Thank
of
you for
Once
having
Upon
me,
a
man.
Bnb.
This is amazing. It's my first ever podcast. Yeah.
Oh, well, you
Now
did great.
maybe my wife will have to listen now. That
I
you're
know,
on.
right?
Thanks, guys. It's been another episode of Once Upon a
Cool.
Bnb. I'm Ian.
This is Maha.
Sam.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.